I have a very interesting guest today with Sierra Walker. She is a media director at the Karma Group. And I also have my friend Beth, my TapClicks colleague, customer success manager. So,
Hi,
yeah,
everyone.
hi. So I would love to get started, Sarah. So I would love for you to introduce yourself, like the role that you have and the work that you do, and also a little bit about the Karma Group and what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So as mentioned, I'm Sierra Walker. I'm the media director here at the Karma Group. And so the Karma Group is a full service marketing and advertising agency. We do a lot of brand strategy, creative and media placement and planning, along with analysis. And I oversee the media team specifically. So my job is to help with overall media strategy, finding audiences, segments, and all of that good stuff. But more importantly is really the data after the fact, the performance analysis, making sure that we're reporting out to clients and getting the information we need to be able to pivot, whether it's moving dollars to different places or eliminating things completely, but being able to look at individual pieces of campaigns as well as just overall campaign performance.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then you said you're based in Wisconsin. No, sorry.
Yeah, you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we are in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Cool, cool. So would love to know more about like some of the goals of the business, and then like what kind of industries, and then like the focus, and then maybe some challenges. Would love to know more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Karma's interesting in that the company has been around for over 40 years, which is very unusual for an agency, especially in a smaller market like Green Bay. But it's kind of gone full circle. When the agency started, it was very media focused. That's actually what they started doing, was media placement. And then over time, it really kind of turned into more of a creative house. And it's kind of swung back around where it's a lot more 50-50 split, where, today marketing, everybody has kind of figured out that it's not just about the creative and it's not just about the media placements. It's both. Like, both need to be really good in order to succeed. And so as an agency today, our focus is really how do we bring those two pieces together strategically, making sure that the messaging that we're putting out there is going to the right places and the right people, but then having the information to be able to make better decisions, not flying blind and just going, well, we think it's working, but taking it all the way through. And, in some cases that can be challenging. From a business perspective, we focus a lot in healthcare, in financial services, which both have significant red tape when it comes to being able to track certain things, report out on certain things. And so being able to get creative with that as far as what information can we pull out that's useful in order to make smarter decisions, ensuring that we're doing the right thing with their dollars. So that's been a really big focus, and I think a challenge in just adapting as new rules change, especially with the healthcare industry. HIPAA is constantly changing, and so keeping up on that, along with all of the different platforms, and making sure that everything can be at least somewhat reported out on.
Cool. I love the part about because I do face this as well often, is like that mixture, or like the combination of the media and the creativity piece of it, right? Like I love that part, because there's no right answer, right? Like you cannot do one thing and then hope it will work. Maybe works, but I feel it's the combinations. I love that.
Yeah.
Cool. And then so in that sense, like you touched upon a little bit of like how many new media comes in, right? Like there's always something new. I think about this all the time. It's like audiences sort of personality changes in general. Like every year there's something new coming up. So how does that sort of impact your set of challenges, and how does kind of like TapClicks helps in that direction? Would love to know more about that.
Yeah, well, so we manage everything in-house. You know, while there are options to outsource all of these things, we do manage all of our media placements in-house. And because of that, we are accessing multiple platforms for multiple tactics, right? Whether it's programmatic or social media or search, you know, you're logging into 20 different places to place all of this media. And the challenge for us was getting it all into one place, so that we could see it holistically. While being able to look at things individually is good, it doesn't tell you the whole picture, right? Much like creative matters, all of the media matters, all of it plays together. And if you're isolated to just looking at one thing at a time, it really limits what you're taking out of it from a performance perspective. And so TapClicks for us, really, it saved a ton of time, no longer having to go into multiple platforms, exporting information, or trying to put up things next to each other and get apples to apples, right? Like that's a really big thing, is terminology is different between platforms. You know, what TikTok calls something is not necessarily what Snapchat calls something. And so the ability to bring everything into a single platform and view it individually or holistically, it just saves time and effort, and it made it a lot easier to make better decisions. I think for us too, a big part of it was for clients. It was a game changer. We've actually had clients, when we've gone up for RFPs, choose us specifically because we work with TapClicks. That actually recently came up, as they were like, "Oh, I worked with TapClicks once before. It's the best." You know, that's part of why we chose you, is because I know that everything is going to be in there. And I think that's such an important piece of it, is it provides comfort because it's completely transparent. We can pull in absolutely everything that they want to see. We can manipulate the data as needed in order to show it visually in a way that they need, or compare things. And it's ever evolving. I think that's probably my favorite part of it, is we talked about media is constantly changing, and TapClicks has done an amazing job of keeping up with that. I swear, anytime I'm like, "Oh man, I think, this new thing is coming along," Beth is on the phone and she's like, "Hey, so we have this new thing." I'm like, there it is every time. And that it creates a lot of peace of mind for us, because we just don't have to worry about that part when it comes to our campaigns and our clients.
Love that. Yeah, that's amazing. I think the one thing that you mentioned, I only started to like recognize the value for it, is even if a team has a huge IT team and they're sort of like managing all the data, but things move so fast and each client has a slightly different need of how they want to see something, you would want a quick way to change the names to align them together. Like you were mentioning, right? Like TikTok calls it separately, like Facebook Meta calls it separately. So I think that's the other advantage, right? Just doing a quick fix of these are the actual same things. I want them to be together, like join them together or add them together.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times, just because somebody has a marketing title doesn't mean that they necessarily are hands in all of these platforms, so they don't necessarily understand it. Plus, they're typically having to report this out to somebody else. And I know in multiple cases, marketing directors that we work with are super appreciative that we can send it over, like we can export PowerPoints in their templates, and they can remove things, add things, but we can include all of our notes, and they don't have to do anything. They can just take it to the next level because it's spelled out in a way that anybody can understand it. Because we aren't, again, we can change the naming convention so that it's something that they're like, "Oh yeah, I understand what this means." And that makes a huge difference too, is that ease of use, very quick too. The customer service team over there has been phenomenal about very fast changes. I mean, we've had some custom data views that we've needed for Google Analytics in particular. And I mean, within a couple of days, we have something back that works and it gets us exactly what the client is looking for.
Love it, love it. I personally, by the way, when I joined TapClicks, I come from a data background, and I was surprised how marketing departments and marketing team can actually sort of understand data. They may not know SQL, but they don't naming conventions. They figured this out, and then loved working with the support team, Beth's team. Like this, Beth is great. Is all of this like managing the whole thing? So just really enjoyed TapClicks for that. So glad that you're appreciating that, Sierra. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have like one more thing. You mentioned like multiple things around how TapClicks sort of keeps track of different media, different data sources, as we call them. They have like different granularity. They may have like different metrics that keeps coming up. So maintaining that is a big challenge. And then putting them all together the way you want or the way your stakeholders would want, that's another challenge. How do you think this was done before, or like others in your space, or other marketing departments, or others who may have similar challenges? Like what are the alternatives that you may have explored, and like how does TapClicks kind of solves for it in a better way? And I know you mentioned like ease of use, but I'm sure like there are other things. Like what would be your recommendation to others?
Yeah, I mean, lots of research, right? And I think starting with the question of what am I looking for, right? What is the end result that I'm looking for? And then working your way backwards, because that's going to line up the questions you need to be asking. So I actually started working with TapClicks long before I came to the Karma Group. And it's part of why I brought it to the Karma Group. It was because of my previous experiences. And when I came on board, Karma was using a different reporting engine. And, initially I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot, right? They've already been using this. They have stuff built in there. One was the user interface was, there was a steep learning curve. It was not like drag and drop functionality. You had to really understand certain layers of things. And there were also a lot of limitations on data. Like I could not dig nearly as deep as I wanted to. And there wasn't an option, like there just wasn't an option to bring in more. It wasn't like, oh yeah, we can do that for you. It's like, nope, this is what you get. I go, okay. And just the translation, dashboards and reporting, right? There's a difference. The dashboard is what the clients can go online and see if they want, and the reporting is what we kick out and send via PDF or PowerPoint. And it just wasn't a smooth transition between those two things. And even the clients we found weren't really jumping in all that often. So, I think starting with that why, like what are you trying to get out of it? And then going from there. The other thing was the number of connectors, direct connects that TapClicks has. I haven't found any other provider that has as many. And then the smart connectors are incredibly easy to use. Now, granted, there's a little bit of a learning curve if it's a little bit more complex. But again, Beth and the team are very quick to jump in and help figure that out. But anything that I've needed to do, I've been able to figure it out. Like we've never had a problem where it's like, no, you just can't do this. And I think some of the newer functionality too, there was another platform that I used at one point that I don't think it had changed in the course of 5 years. There was nothing new, no new visualizations, no new data sources. And that's something too, like the visualization tools, I love. Those things continue to improve. Like the heat mapping just showed up with the actual like geography. So, you know, I recommend looking at all of the different things, and you know, you get what you pay for. You can find super cheap reporting, but I can tell you what you get out of it is not nearly as in depth. It's very surface level.
Love that. Yeah, love that. I love the way you said it as that do your research, right? I follow the MarTech landscape, you know, with like 15,000 different tools, different SaaS tools
Yes.
across, and then like figuring it out. It's a good thing though, is it means that there is value, like
Yeah.
so many companies exist. And so then actually doing the research, figuring out what's the right fit for you as a company and as your needs is always going to be first. And again, if data, if dashboards and reporting and visualization, if those are the key things, then TapClicks and a few are in that top tier. And then if you have more need of just the data, maybe there are others, but this kind of like gets the combination, as Sarah was saying. So that is great answer.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. Is we don't have a data person on staff here. We don't have someone who sits in, you know, goes through spreadsheets of information, or, you know, there's plenty of places where you can pull in and then you can customize the data before it spits out to something else. We don't have that kind of time. We don't have that kind of team. And so having something that literally anybody in this organization, I could have a creative person go in and they could easily figure out how to build a dashboard, update a widget, anything in that system. That was a huge thing for us as well.
I love that. I love that. And this is my favorite sort of my learning working through other companies as well. Like even if they have a data team, they are busy because they are like getting solving something for the finance team. They get the highest priority actually. So sometimes like not the marketing team, but like they are always so busy, and you need often like each team would need their own data skills. And I think that's where that is something that I learned as well, like building out this product. So I'm like glad that you mentioned that. Thank you so much. And then I just have one last question. This is 2026. Like any sort of thoughts around like your predictions around your business or like marketing, SaaS, anything you would want to share with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think marketing as a whole is kind of hitting an interesting stretch here, where companies are wanting to be able to track more than ever, and consumers are wanting less tracking than ever. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how those two things potentially conflict, and what that does for things like, you know, conversion tracking and, you know, different laws that come in, as, you know, that they had the GDPR that went through in Europe. And while that's not necessarily on the table in the US, it absolutely could come around. So I think, you know, privacy is still such a big thing. And so that's going to be interesting to see how that influences just information that gets pulled out of platforms in general. But the continued massive increase in SaaS companies, right? I think every single year, you know, we do our due diligence and we talk to different providers for programmatic, and, you know, whether it's OTT or just display or, you know, the million other things, social. And I think every year I have at least half a dozen new companies that are knocking on our door. And it's getting very fragmented. So that's going to be interesting to see. Is, you know, there are more companies coming out that are trying to consolidate that, right? Where they just say, listen, we're you know, kind of just going to sit here and we'll buy from everybody. So you don't have to pick and choose your DSP. you can just do all of that through us, and we'll just do what makes the most sense based off of what your client is trying to do. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects the market. I've seen a lot more of those pop up lately. And I think that's going to continue to grow because, again, an agency our size, we're smaller. And so we only have so much bandwidth. And there is a certain point where it's like, yeah, it's hard to keep up with that many different places at once. So I think that's going to be interesting. And then all of the AI, I mean, we've been seeing it come into the TapClicks world. I'm excited to continue to see that grow and develop throughout the year. And already things like getting recommendations on optimizations, trends, I think that's going to be really huge just from a time perspective.
Love that. Thank you so much. Those were the questions I had. It was so great to talk to you, Sarah. I would love to talk more, but I want to keep this a little bit tighter just so that it's like easier to consume. So thank you so much. And Beth, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just wanted, that was great, Sierra. I just wanted to add that Sierra and the Karma Group team make my job as a CSM really easy. As Sierra mentioned, she always does her research. She's ahead of the trends. I think her background, it might even be in development of some, I forget, Sierra, I know you, okay. So she's not afraid to really dive into the platform and test things out, provide feedback. She and the team read the release notes. So when we come together to strategize and to better their experience with TapClicks, we have, she's already has all the tools and things ready to discuss. So I really appreciate that, Sierra, and we appreciate your business.
Thanks. I appreciate this. It's, again, TapClicks makes my job a heck of a lot easier. So appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate this, Sierra. Thank you. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.